First there was the Cloudmonster, then there was the Cloudmonster 2. And this year, On just hit us with its weirdest, boldest, fastest super trainer to date, the Cloudmonster Hyper, but valued at $220 US. Is it worth the buy? Let's check it out. So I decided to review the Cloudmonster Hypers because honestly they just confused the heck out of me. I wasn't sure if they were made for races, workouts, easy runs, a bit of all three, and I just had to find out. And then my trip to the On store didn't do much to help. Hi, I'm looking to buy some shoes?
Yeah.
Right on. On Cloud Echo, On Cloud Boom, On Cloud Eclipse.
The Cloud Monsters?
Well, don't let me cloud your judgment. Get it?
I think.
Okay, the On Cloudmonster Hypers. Here you go.
Oh, these are nice. I'll try them on.
Yes. Run on clouds, baby.
Is that another kind of pair?
No, that's her slogan, run on clouds. Well, her walking shoe is also the On Cloud. And then there's the On Cloud Runner for runners who want to run on clouds. But you'll be running on monster clouds, on the On Cloud Monster, specifically. Don't you feel on cloud 9?
Yeah, I guess. Like I'm on a Nimbus cloud.
No, damn it, not that one. You set the wrong...
Sorry?
It's fine. Can I help you with anything else?
No, that's everything. Thanks for your help. Arnold? That's your name?
They made me drop the D. So I did my own research and figured it out. Cloudmonsters are On's best-known version of super trainers, which, bear with me, are like a cross between racing shoes and training shoes. Now, the Cloudmonster Hyper was On's third attempt at making a bona fide super trainer, but they entered the game back in 2022 when they released the original Cloudmonster, which is full of support. You see the size of these cloud tech pods at the bottom, but also had a nylon plate and a rock-forward profile that made it a lot more aggressive than a classic training shoe like, say, a Brooks Ghost or an Asics Nimbus. See, that put the shoe in a weird category between trainer and racer in a time where super shoes were not all that common, so On just went out and called it their... What did that guy say again?
OG weirdo.
Right. Now, people seem to like how big and bulky and springy the shoe was. So in 2023, they doubled down on the size of it and created something even bigger, the Cloudmonster 2. It was about an ounce heavier, had even bigger cloud tech pods, and was at this point seen as almost too heavy, at least in my opinion, to be a really good workout shoe, and certainly couldn't double as a racing shoe. Now, this last April, On releases the Cloudmonster Hyper, which seems to have the same bones as the Cloudmonster 2, but for some reason is more than an ounce lighter. That was my first impression of the On Cloudmonster Hyper. I thought, not only did they make it lighter than the Cloudmonster 2, it's about as light as any super trainer out there. But then I asked myself, okay, what makes a good super trainer? It's more than just weight. If this shoe is selling for $220 USD, it has to be special in some other way, right? And it turns out that, yeah, the Cloudmonster Hyper looks a lot like the Cloudmonster 2, but they're actually made very differently. The main difference is that the Cloudmonster Hyper has a secret ingredient that the Cloudmonster 2 doesn't have. It's something On calls its Helion HF foam, which is its lightest and most responsive foam they've ever made, and it's what they use in their best racing shoe, the Cloud Boom Echo. So part of the midsole of the Hyper is made of that foam, and then under it sits a layer of EVA foam to keep things nice and supportive. And together they make for something that is bona fide super trainer. Cushiony, but also explosive. And that's pretty much all that the midsole is made out of. This time around, On removed what they call the speed board, so a plastic plate that was made for propulsion, but I guess that they judged was a little bit too heavy. So no plastic plate in here. That's probably why this shoe is a tiny bit lighter. Then the upper is pretty straightforward. It's a rigid microfiber mesh that seems to be pretty breathable to me, and then silicone laces that are easy to manipulate and help you lock your foot in. So after holding it in my hand and reading about it, it became clear to me that the Cloudmonster Hyper, at least on paper, was better than the Cloudmonster 2.
That's what I thought.
But I had to take it out for a spin, and I had a little hesitation about it. The thing is, the Cloudmonster Hyper is 2 millimeters taller than the Cloudmonster 2. which doesn't sound like much, but I'm now at the point where I find super trainers to already be so big that if a company comes out and says,
"We've made it bigger,"
that sounds like bad news to me. I can't feel the ground under my feet anymore in these new shoes, and I'm not sure if I really like it. The good news is that 2mm jump made the Cloudmonster go from 35 to 37mm, which is actually still pretty low off the ground compared to some of the other super trainers out there.
His first run of the season!
So the stack height didn't really bother me. What I did really enjoy about this shoe was that it propelled me off the ground much easier than the Cloudmonster 2. And I think that's for two reasons. One is the weight. You do notice the difference, and for that, I think it was a good idea for On to get rid of that speed board. And the second is that this version has a super spring-loaded toe. Now, On was really deliberate in how they distributed that Helian HF foam, that really bouncy, responsive foam. Much of it is in the front of the shoe, which encourages like a super quick toe off. Now, that's a blessing and a curse for the shoe. You will probably go faster than you intend to. I wouldn't wear this for easy runs at all because even a shuffle ends up being a semi-workout. So I've started using these only for good, hard workouts because they're more like a racing shoe than they are like a training shoe because of all that super foam. If I had to give it two adjectives, it's rigid and springy. And if you're a heel striker, I'm not sure if this is for you because the shoe really forces you onto your toes. It makes landing on your heel somewhat unnatural. Now, I'm a midfoot striker. I enjoyed it for that, but if your stride is different, I'd encourage you to try it out before actually buying it. I'm a little more clear as to what the Cloudmonster Hypers are. They're an elite super trainer with a ton of hops and world-class foam that come at a price. There certainly is a market for shoes like these, and I would recommend you to give it a try if you're a midfoot striker who has beefy marathon workouts coming up, if you're someone who values lightness and durability in a running shoe, and also if you're someone who likes to feel the ground under you on your workout runs. Meanwhile, I would recommend you stay away from these shoes if you like tall, pillowy super trainers that make the ground feel soft. Also, if you're a heel striker, because these shoes do propel you onto your midfoot and forefoot, and that might feel awkward and uncomfortable. And also if you're trying to save money. There is cheaper out there, but at this point, if you're looking for a good pair of super trainers, you're probably going to spend at least 160 USD.
Oh yeah, don't ask me for money.
And finally, let's give it a score. I'm going 7.9 out of 10. And here's what I want to see for the next version of these shoes. On has come very close to making a super aggressive, awesome workout shoe. And I'm wondering if next time they take a part of that heel and put even more of that super foam. That is to be seen. And while you mull over whether or not you should buy the Cloudmonster Hyper, why not do some light reading? See, I've hung out with runners my whole life, and I have yet to meet someone who's read this from tip to tip. I have a suspicion no one ever has. Anyway, let's begin.